listening to msp-waves radio. I am your host, Agrode, currently Witness 11 on the Steam blockchain. It is June 30th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we tonight are having a little show that we call the Peace Academy. I'm blessed to have my dearest Azaria on the show, and blessed to have my dearest Kevin, a.k.a. Shane Welker, a.k.a. Swelker101, join us on the radio. How are you two this evening?
I'm moderately fantastic. I am so happy to be here, I could barely stand it.
Well, that's some good attitude. I like to hear that. How about you, Azaria? I hear everything is going well for you.
Yeah, I'm just as happy as a clam in a nightclub. It's our anniversary, our wedding anniversary, Kevin and I, and we're hearing that the sound sucks and our audio is bad.
I think that's my fault.
They may have been calling me some names.
Who would want to call you names?
Weird.
Yeah.
I distinctly see someone called me a pimple popper in here. That's not nice.
They can barely hear Shane and Azaria.
No, there's a fan in the background, Ron. It's 90 degrees in my office. I have to go switch to the basement, but I hate the basement. In part, my wife...
Do you not have central air?
I don't have central air. So it's just always hot. I've been able to live with this up until like the 80s in my attic space, but it's now getting into the 90s, and now it's humid, and I'm just freaking dying. So I'm gonna have to move down to my basement where it's like 50 degrees and lovely, but I hate the basement.
Well, your guests are still quiet, and you are still hot, and I like hot. I like hot temperatures. I like Florida.
She likes hot men.
See. I'm just talking so our mic can be tested out. Shane, if you want to say something.
Yeah, I really don't have too much to say on that.
Well, you better say something.
Shane's just here to make trouble.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Shane,
I'm putting a check mark on Sunravel Me's little post about everyone in Missouri had central air.
That's right. It's very thick and humid there.
I don't understand how I can be
Shane,
that loud. Because it's not like I'm that... nobody wants to hear my mic check. I'm sorry. Go on, Azaria.
Oh, I can't wait to hear your mic check. Testing. 1, 2, 3. It is the Peace Academy.
You know what makes for
Shane,
really
what
good
are we
radio?
Doing?
Really good radio is just like an hour of mic checks. That's what we should be doing.
Yes.
Welcome to the mic check hour.
Tonight.
We suck so bad. I'm so sorry, everyone.
That's just me. Apparently I'm just the worst.
No, I am the worst. You come in second.
Who's my name?
So,
who's this Rish E?
Shane,
person?
what are we doing for our anniversary? Do you have any plans? Will I be receiving a gift?
You received the gift. You received the gift of Shane every single day of your life. Every day is your anniversary.
My condolences.
I think we need to get Agrode Central Air for his anniversary. For our anniversary.
No, you guys just need to be happy and wonderful. You're both lovely people. So
we're so lovely.
You get dental work for your anniversary gift, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was year 3 is dental. I looked it up. That's a good idea. I'm gonna run up and get some floss for her later tonight.
Thank you.
It's about as romantic as it can.
No, it's our wedding anniversary.
Where did you guys get married?
Inside Outlet.
Yeah. Is this a repeat of the first show?
No.
Is this a recording or is this live?
It's recording now. I guess we are live now, but we're just using the last show to inform us about this show. So,
yes, it's only been 3 years of actual marriage. It's been a lifetime of torture.
Shane, did you propose, or did Azaria propose?
I did.
Was it
You did.
I did.
under duress? Were you threatened, or did you do this like completely on your own?
I may have been drinking. I cannot. No, no. I knew I was proposing when I did it.
Okay.
It was
I
very
had the
sweet.
ring and everything.
Yeah.
And then when did you
It was
think when did you know that you wanted to marry Azaria? Like how'd you know?
What?
what? You know what?
Oh.
Shane doesn't do romantic conversations.
No, I knew. Actually, whenever she moved down, I mean, at that point, we'd already been slightly talking about it. And it was just a matter of going through the formalities of the proposal and then setting it up. So, I mean, I've I've known for a long time that if I ever had another chance with Asaria, I was not going to screw it up. I was going to do whatever was in my power to make sure this happened. And so I knew for a long time. I mean, probably back in high school.
Wow. That's touching.
Aw, that's
Did
so
you hear
sweet.
all that touching sweetness out of Shane?
Yeah.
Makes me want to just call him Kevin, but say it sweetly rather than with disdain.
That's good.
Damn it, Kevin, that was charming.
Yeah.
I, I I'm exhausted after that.
Yeah, seriously. All right. All right. Well, that was enough of that misery. Talking about
Oh my
feelings.
god.
He's got
Okay.
time for feelings. So, Peace Academy.
So, this is the Peace Academy.
What do you feel like? What do you feel like we need to discuss? I
I
don't
think
suggest
tonight we
burning
should talk about
bridges.
burning bridges.
Just an extension of Minnow University. So the first half of this was about why that's bad for you financially. The second half of this could be why like how to stop burning bridges. I don't know.
No, no. What did you have planned for the night? I was just doing that to be silly.
Well,
So,
I wrote. Didn't you get the direct message I sent you that had sort of like the script for this evening that I typed
oh,
out?
I never read those.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
No, I maybe you know what happened when Discord went down earlier today. I had all this thing. The show notes were all typed up. I had everything set and like a really good discussion topic. But then Discord went down and I lost all of it. So
Oh,
we're a
Discord's
little bit,
fault.
Yeah, we're a little bit on the fly this evening.
Knew it.
So
All right, so basically, it's Discord's fault that we're not organized. So,
again, every week it's their fault.
I know.
Yeah, I think we need, we always have the fallback of Steam Monsters because there's always shit that we can talk about with that. We could talk about the Witness Forum. The Witness Forum I thought went okay, and there wasn't really shit that I'd be like, hey, we should talk about the Witness Forum because it wasn't peaceful. I actually thought that was highly peaceful.
I mean, we could review the upcoming changes in the next hard fork for anyone who happened to miss it.
Shane, is that of interest? Do you think that we should cover that? Is that like an abundance thing? We have an
Yeah.
abundance theme, a technology-infused abundance theme for the Peace Academy this evening?
Yes, I would believe that would fall into that category. Another thing that you said during the witness forum that I really liked was, it's like not everyone is an expert blogger, and not everyone has some type of artistic talent that they can share. So a lot of people it's not easy for them to work on Steam. And what I liked what you said was that Steam Monsters can be a way for those people to actually make money through the fighting and the tournaments.
Yeah, and
So I think that's really cool.
Hopefully we incentivize them to hold and mess around with Steam, even if they don't
Yeah.
care about this whole blogging thing. Or maybe they hate interacting with other people. They just want to play a video game and get paid for it. And we should enable that too, because we need misanthropes here as well. Not everybody has to be like some peaceful, love thy neighbor, let's go build a community person. We're blessed to have that in here, but that's not everybody.
Did we
So
lose Agrod?
I'm here. Hello, hello.
There he is.
I just
Yeah, you
I
cut
just
out in and
trail
out of me
off
there.
my sentences. I don't have like strong endings. It's just, I'm done talking. I wonder what somebody else will say about what I said. It's not. Maybe I should like, dive into. Maybe I need to pose more questions at the end. Do you think I should pose more questions at the end, Shane?
Yes. More questions at the end, because a lot of times you're sort of making a statement, and I would like to yes and you, but sometimes you've already said it, so
Well,
nothing I can do except sort of repeat what you said.
so let's go hop into the Steam It blog post. I'm gonna go copy this link and put it into chat.
All right, so the game is not quite ready to be played yet. We're still working out the specifics on that. We're hoping by September that it'll be ready to play. In the meantime, Rishi, you can check out the Steam Monster Steam It page. You can set up your account, buy your starter pack, and buy booster packs. So it's a collectible trading card game with basically, well, Agard, you go ahead and explain it.
No, I'm enjoying this.
Okay.
It's a collectible trading card game with
Yes,
Agrod will explain the rest isn't good enough.
You are having you're having a girl who's on pain medications and quite loopy explain your business.
Look, if you can't do it now, you can't do it ever. God damn it, don't care about
Okay,
what drugs are on. Back in my
it's a
day.
collectible trading card game with RPG elements, which means role-playing game elements. So it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, and it's also kind of like fantasy football because you're going to be drafting your own game, and then you'll be playing against other people, and there will be tournaments.
Yeah, and
Is it anything like Twister?
Yes, there's going to be a Twister map involved. Yeah.
I will take my left hand and put it on the pit ogre. Right foot will go on the air elemental.
Okay, so Bree says that update is confusing and it sounds scary. Let's break it down.
Well, yeah, that's what I was planning on doing. So,
All right.
okay, Hard Fork 20. That's what we're talking about. Hard Fork 20 has the unofficial name, or maybe even official name, of Velocity. And they chose Velocity because it's meant to reference the speed with which we add new users. This is a growth enabling hard fork change. The whole point of this thing is that we want more users. And why would we want more users? My simple statement and why I work so hard at this is that I think price of the coin itself is extremely dependent on how many people are holding it. So if there are only 3 people in the world that are trying to hold the Steam, then it should be really inexpensive. If there are 300 million people trying to hold all this Steam, it's gonna push the price of this thing higher and higher and higher. And there's a thing called Moore's Law, which is supposed to be fairly predictive in terms of how price and community are related. And basically, as you double the number of users on the platform, you should quadruple price. Your sound is strange. I don't know how to help that. It just is what it is tonight. You sound strange, Breeze, and you're typing. Don't you type that way at me. Alright, anyways. So Hard Fork 20 changes. Here are some of the things that are going to happen. The whole point of this thing is to go ready the blockchain to try to make it so that we can onboard more people. Yeah, don't you type in that South African accent at me. All right, so resource credits. The first part of resource credits, we have a bandwidth system, and bandwidth is currently kind of broken. And we found out it was broken when somebody started spamming "I have a big dick" over and over and over into parts of the blockchain that aren't their own unique post. And this little like malware attack, or this attack vector, like slowed the shit out of the blockchain. It like made it so new users couldn't post. We had like an emergency fix to try to make it so that "I have a big dick" didn't like ruin the blockchain.
That my witness missed a block due to that. And when I went and opened it up and looked at the information on that, I was just like, "What? In the, at what?" Because I didn't know the situation at the time. I just saw a missed block. I went and looked, and I see this big dick written over and over again in the information, and I'm just sitting there going, "I've been hacked. My witness has been hacked." And then about that same time is when all the information started coming out of what happened. But
Yeah.
my first thought was, yeah, my witness server was hacked.
So there's a spot. It's called JSON or JSON metadata, and there's a way that you can post data to the chain without it actually being a post, and it goes in this JSON metadata. And you know, they chose to just keep repeating "I have a big dick," and it was like, I don't actually know how many transactions that they did, but they were basically filling all of the, like, every block has a certain amount of data that it can store. The witnesses set how big that block is, and they were basically filling every single block with "I have a big dick," and it was just that message on repeat as many times as they could do it. So so yeah, that was causing some problems, and the bandwidth wasn't stopping it. This was actually one of the most effed up parts of this is that the guy, I'm assuming it's a guy, but you know, in this, I shouldn't assume their gender just because they are saying they have a big dick. That could be a lady's penis, but let's assume for a moment that it's a man, and forgive me for that. And they want to go, like, they had very little steam power. They had like 15 steam power, but because of the way that the bandwidth algorithm worked, like, they could just keep spamming the shit out of this chain. So there were obviously some problems with the bandwidth algorithm, and so they're rewriting it, and they're putting in place this thing called resource credits. And the funky thing about resource credits is that they're actually putting in behind the scenes kind of a market system. So just like a market where like you can buy and sell SBD for Steam and Steam for SBD, I don't quite know what's going back and forth in this, but they've made it sort of an automated market on the back end, and they're using market technology to make this thing as efficient as possible, so that as you need to like spend your resource credits that then will sort of grow back over time, it's determining how much you can interact on the blockchain, and it's designed to, one, make this place more efficient, but two, also keep spammers from being able to spam as effectively. Do you guys feel like you have some idea of what resource credits are designed to do? Shane, Azaria, you guys there?
Hello?
Do you?
Yeah, it cut out for me. Discord cut out for me. What'd you say?
Oh, I said, do you have some sense of what resource credits are designed to do?
No.
Did you not hear my
Please
explanation
tell
at
me.
all, or did my explanation suck, or what?
Well, my Discord cut out.
Shane, were you able to hear? What happened?
Let me
What happened to Kevin?
disconnecting. Yeah, I gotta disconnect and come back in. Something weird is happening.
All right. I'm going on. These people. These people. All right, so here's another part of this. Breeze's comment. All right, so here's curation updates. So the other thing that they're doing is they're changing the 12-hour window at the end. Oh no, wait, that's not what this one is. So there's a couple of different curation updates, but with this one, so if authors vote for themselves right away, they get their author rewards plus 100% curation rewards from their vote, plus a portion of the curation rewards coming from everyone who votes for them after. Any other curator voting at the same time as the author would get 0% of the curation rewards. This gives the author an unfair advantage over other curators because the author can earn additional curation rewards through self-voting. So the system currently, like one of the best ways that you can make money is to go self-vote. And so they're going to eliminate some of that advantage. The unused portion of the curation rewards are going to be returned to the rewards pool. Now they're not really unused. They're currently being used, and they're being used to go like they're like mini steroids for your self-vote. And so what they're going to do is instead of letting you keep that, they're going to shove your excess rewards that you got by self-voting. It's not that your self-vote doesn't do anything. It's just that they're taking a portion of that and putting it back into the rewards pool. And that way, they're trying to make curation work more effectively for more people so that you're actually incentivized to sit around and use your stake to help other people.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Look at that. Look at that sweet JSON metadata that Shane posted. That's awesome.
That's a screenshot from when when I was looking through the information during the witness attack.
I mean, you can't ask for more than that.
No, not at all. I'm like, I've been hacked. So Rish E is asking how we can upvote with percentages. And you can use a different front end such as busy.org, or once you reach 500 SP, powered up Steam, at that point you will automatically get a little slider that will allow you to choose your percentage when you do upvotes.
So another part of this change is that they're going to change internal market orders so that when you basically what people like to do is they like to go put extreme orders onto the books, and they do this with the hopes that they'll be asleep, but if somebody makes some ridiculous like pump or something, that they're there to catch it. And so a lot of people will put bids on either extreme of the market. And what Steam is doing is making it so that those expire, because when you have long-lived bids in the like sitting on the market, it's actually affecting how much RAM all the RPC nodes need, all the like big servers that are running all the data for the blockchain. There's just getting to be some chain bloat, so this is one of the ways that they're reducing that. Does that explanation make sense for the internal market order?
I'm reading through the post as you're talking. This is since I missed this morning. I missed all the updates.
Well, this was a couple days ago. Is this the first time that you've seen this?
No, I saw it the other day, and I wasn't wearing my glasses, so I failed to come back to it when I had time.
All right. So next up, they're changing the account creation fee. And so what? Let's see. Like the whole thing about account creation is changing. So this one is probably one of the weirder things to explain. They're like introducing all of these new resources, basically, which should have a ton of utility, but in terms of like making Steam like this really easy thing to understand, like once you get your bachelor's degree in STEAM, this thing should be easy. Up until then, it's quite challenging. Um, so you can't create new accounts using delegated stake. That's going to go away. And because that's going away, you don't need to multiply by 30. And I forget why that you have to multiply by 30, but when you are creating when you're creating that fee, or when you're choosing how expensive it is to create a new account, the math for that changes a little bit. It'll still stay something like 3 to 6 steam is going to be the minimum steam that you're going to need if you're like creating a new account and really hoping to use that frequently. And maybe it'll be a little bit better because resource credits should make this whole thing more efficient. So maybe you don't actually need 3 to 6 steam. Maybe you'll be able to get away with less. But that's one of the changes that's supposed to happen. There's going to be removal of the 20-second comment limit. So
this is the one that I can see this kind of backfiring.
Well, it's still once every block, so you can't. They're making it 7 times more spammy, but at the same time, it's like, if you're just trying to, you have a popular post and your post gets on trending, and then like you have 60 people responding to you, like it is a shitty experience having to sit there and wait 20 seconds every time that you want to respond to somebody.
It's part of the reason why I don't respond to my comments, because it's like I literally don't have time. It's so annoying to me.
Would you say ain't nobody got time for that?
No, I type fast, and I'm ready to move on to the next comment, and this makes me wait. If you have a popular post that gets on trending in other fairy tales, Clay makes me laugh.
So this is pretty funny. Proposing HF20 Velocity. This post is a year old. Where's their burning steam for account creation to prevent abuse? Discounted account creation. So let's go read this from the last post.
Now, how long have we been on Hard Fork 19? It seems like it's been forever and 5 days.
Yeah, it's been a year because we haven't hit Hard Fork 20 yet. So, 18 to 19 was a switch from exponential rewards to linear rewards, and we've been on linear rewards for about a year because this post that I'm about to read from that was released over a year ago about Hard Fork 20 is now becoming relevant again. So there's a section on here called discounted account creation. So one of the key areas limiting the growth of Steam is the cost of creating accounts. We want to grow Steam to at least the size of Reddit, hopefully larger. Reddit currently has 234 million unique users a month. Let's assume that if they have a 50% retention rate, which is quite generous, then they would have to have signed up 468 million accounts. If we wanted to do the same, then it would cost 93.6 million Steam and 13.5 billion Steam power in delegations. The current Steam supply is around 250 million Steam, and with the stake that Steam has, it would take nearly 12 years to create all of those accounts and undelegate Steam power continuously to reach those numbers. Simply put, it does not scale, and if we want to grow to become the disruptive technology that we all know Steam is, we need to remove this barrier. We want to add a daily quota of discounted accounts. These accounts can be paid for with a combination of Steam, bandwidth, and mining. So I don't know if they're still doing mining. It sounds like mining isn't going to be a part of that, but we believe that the ability to mine an account into creation was a fantastic feature of our hybrid proof of work system. So what I heard is that I don't think that there's going to be proof of work in this. So let me skip that. The level of discount will be dynamic based off of current demand to prevent all of the accounts from being created instantly. Witnesses will vote on the daily quota so that we can scale the system alongside our growth. This system will run in parallel to existing account creation. So it sounds like there's going to be a new witness. The top 20 witnesses can sort of determine how many new account creation tokens do we want to be in existence, and then based off of your stake weight, how much steam power you have, that's going to determine how many new accounts you can create for free or at a discount, and that's how we're going to go get this onboarding to work. So in Hard Fork 20, there'll be a new term. The witnesses will get to go set a number for that, and that will determine how many new accounts can be created. And you will get basically a new type of resource, which is called a discounted account creation token. And when you want to create an account, instead of spending Steam to do that, you're going to burn one of those account creation tokens. Does that make any sense?
Does to me.
Zarya? She's dead. All right, moving along.
Sorry, reading through and listening at the same time is my brain's having a hard time doing both.
So a discounted account will always have a fee of 0 Steam. If an account is created in this manner, a discounted account creation token will be consumed, and the account creation will fail if no tokens remain. Any account creation that consumes the account creation fee or greater will not consume a discount token, so that's how those work. The first operation will claim an account from the discount pool to the creator. This account can be created later at any time with the second operation. The fee is greater, whatever. That's all boring. But basically, they're making it so that it's easier to go create accounts. And that, to me, is a big part of being able to onboard way more users. There's removal of the minimum Steam power down restriction. That's not really worth explaining too much about. We have the fix for the double voting exploits. So there's a couple different things that they're adding. This one's kind of big. Where an account could gain extra voting power by using up all of their voting power and then delegating their SP to another account, or powering down and powering up again into a different account. And so people were basically being able to get double the votes by voting. They'd drain all of the voting power, then they'd power that down, they'd power up a different account, and then they'd vote all of that down, and then they'd power up a different account, and they would basically get more and more of the Steam power than what they're supposed to get for that. So
I'm missing how they were able to power down.
Right, because doesn't it take weeks to do that?
It does take time to power down, but they were basically, like, at the time of the power down, when they powered it down, the Steam power that they had already used the Steam power to vote. Then they get that new Steam.
Oh, I get it.
And they're voting with it.
They wait till right before that day 7.
And it's already used.
Do all your votes.
But
yeah.
then they got the Steam power out of the system, and then when they put that Steam power back into the system, it was at 100%. So they could basically vote with the same Steam power twice.
That makes sense.
So now what they're doing is they're making this thing called mana, depending on who you are, or depending on how wrong you would like to be. But the Steam blockchain will track something. The remaining voting power is something called voting mana. Mana will still generate to 100% SP over 5 days, and it doesn't affect how votes are cast, only how the weight is stored. When Steam is powered up into an account, the voting mana will be added to the account. Currently, voting power remains unchanged when it's added to your account. The new system provides an increase in voting power compared to what happens today, and is 100% fair. That means when steam powers down, the week before the power down, it will not generate mana for the account. So if you power it down and then you suddenly have it in your account, and you put it into a new account, it won't be at 100%. The 7 days needed for a chunk of steam power to power down is greater than the 5-day regeneration, which then allows the steam to reach 100% power before it becomes liquid. And this is why you can access the mana as soon as you power it up. So I guess what they're going to do is make it so that during the week where you're waiting, I don't think that you're actually going to be able to. I guess I can't read. When steam powers down the week before the power down, it will not generate mana. So whatever steam is powering down isn't going to be coming back up to 100% power the same way. So, that shouldn't affect many people. That should be a really small change that happens in the background that nearly nobody notices, and only a handful of the assholes that are there trying to max out their steam power by manipulating voting should be getting any of that experience or seeing anything different.
Yeah.
And then another part of this, it is a good change. I mean, it's a complicated change and all the shit that they had to code for that, but I don't know. It should. Yeah,
I guess they probably noticed a lot of people doing that.
Or just even a few
that they felt that they
had
needed
a
to
lot
make
of
that
steam
change.
power. So that's part of that. They're going to fix. They're calling a fix to the end of payout downvote abuse. I'm not sure that this was abused. I kind of like this rule, but they're changing. Right now, there's a 12-hour window where you can downvote something, but you can't upvote something. And so what happens is that this was created because a lot of people were right at the last second, they were upvoting their post, and nobody would know that some big upvote had happened, and then they couldn't downvote it. So somebody writes a real shit post, maybe they put a bidbot vote on it, and it happens at the last minute right before payout, and there was no way to say this post doesn't deserve it and cancel the vote. So what they did is they added a 12-hour window where you could downvote, but you couldn't upvote, and some people, I guess, complained enough that Steemit said, all right, we're going to change this. So now you can upvote and downvote in that last 12-hour period, but both get a lot more expensive. So right at the 12-hour limit, your power works normally, but then as you get closer and closer to the end of payout, your power that you use on a vote is getting less and less steam power gets applied when you're voting in the last 12 hours. So if you want to get an upvote into something, or you want to get a downvote into something, the last 12 hours are a really shitty time to do that. But now, instead of being impossible, it's just a shitty time to do it.
That's interesting. So, say I wanted to upvote someone at 50%. How it wouldn't be a full 50%, or how would it work?
Yeah, basically. So if you're in the last 6 hours, so I'm choosing 6 hours because it's halfway into that period. If you do a 50% vote, it's only going to count as a 25% vote. It will burn 50% of the, it'll burn the amount of steam power as if you were doing a standard 50% vote, but it will only apply half of that. And it doesn't matter if you're flagging, and it doesn't matter if you're upvoting. It'll apply. It'll take the full amount of voting power, but it'll apply half the rewards. And if you wait until 9 hours in, so there's only 3 hours left, your full vote will only have a 25% impact. Does that make sense?
It's a good change. I like it.
I mean, I'm still partial to letting people flag in the last bit of time, because I do think that, like, you
Yeah,
know,
but if it's one of those things that if you can't upvote during that time, then the flag either or you have a set cutoff time for both. Because
yeah, it is more fair.
I do remember someone that had a post and was very worried during those last 12 hours that a flag might come along.
Yeah, people
And
are gonna knock it down. I mean, that's why people like that thing, is that there's, okay, well, now I know exactly how much money you made, so now I know exactly how big of a flag to apply. All right, so the last piece, which they gave like some teeny tiny little change, but is actually like a massive freaking deal for this platform. The 19.4 release, which includes AppBase, the StatsD tool for measuring statistics data in Steam, and the RocksDB plugin for account history, is nearing completion. At this point, we have completed all of our planned development and are just in the final stages of testing. Assuming no new issues are found, we plan to tag the latest master as release 19.4. So these are some pretty big changes. AppBase and RocksDB, both of these are designed towards scalability. So like RocksDB itself, like when you run a full RPC node, it takes almost 600 gigs of RAM. You know, like when I bought 16 gig sticks of RAM. I bought 4 of them, and it was $1,000. And that was to go get me 64 gigs of RAM. This thing would need 10 times that, right? Because we don't need 64 gigs, we need 640. So if that cost me $1,000, then just the RAM alone costs $10,000. So these servers get really freaking expensive. And the reason why they need to be so big is that the way that most witnesses are configuring the RPC nodes, like the kind of node that lets you make database calls to the blockchain, you have a question of like, who voted on Tuesday at this time on this post? Like, you have to submit a query to the blockchain, and it's the RPC nodes that will basically run that search function for you. And in order to do that, they keep all of the memory in like or they keep all of that data in a shared memory file through RAM. And that just, it is a mega memory hog. And it, like I said, it's nearing 600 gigs. And that's sort of unsustainable. And so what this RocksDB plugin is doing is it's taking the account history, which is the big memory hog, and shoving that into like fast hard drive data. So now, instead of like getting a terabyte of hard drive data is not that expensive. Getting a terabyte of RAM is freaking, $20,000. So we're trying to find technological ways to use less expensive equipment so that the servers don't cost like thousands of dollars per month to be able to run. So yeah, I mean, he's Graylin's saying that it's 9,400. I mean, my back of the envelope math at 10,000 is pretty close. So that's what we're doing with that.
Insanity.
Oh, it's freaking, I don't know, like who is it? The Marky Mark? I think he runs something like 4 RPC nodes, and so he's probably spending $2,400-$2,500 a month. I mean, that's more than my mortgage, right? Like that's a lot of money to be spending.
Yeah.
And so,
how much is he spending?
He's spending $2,400. But so Graylin's doing a nice service here. So he's saying, hey, look, we can go from a 512 gigs of RAM, and that costs $10,000, or we can have 2 terabytes, so it's 4 times as much data, and it costs only $1,600. So, for the same amount, it would be $400. So the difference is either do we want the equipment that we're running to cost $10,000 or an equivalent amount to be $400, right? Like that's what this RocksDB thing is doing. It's going to make all the witnesses suddenly not have to run equipment that's that expensive, and that means that we could run more of that type of equipment and have this whole blockchain run faster and have more public nodes and have this be a better experience for users and still cost less. So RocksDB is a pretty big change. And AppBase is basically allowing us to go create little side chains. AppBase starts getting beyond my ability to like really describe this stuff well. But my understanding is that AppBase is basically allowing Steam to have lots of little mini side chains, and we can keep track of all those side chains, and they don't all have to be in the main memory file. And so it's, again, one of these ways that we can kind of segment this one big, massive, mega hogging RAM file and go chop this thing up into bits, so that we can store more of it in hard drives and just make this thing a lot cheaper and more efficient. And with ultimately the two things of like immediately reducing costs for the equipment, but also giving us a shit ton more legroom for the way that we could, onboard another 1 million people and grow the chain faster and not run into technology limits, because, if this stuff is all stored in just hard drive space, whatever, you got to go store another terabyte, that's fine. Let's go spend another $400 on the server, and now that works. If we had to do that through RAM, it would be, we've doubled the number of users. Well, that means that this month we're going to have to spend another $10,000 on the equipment that we're using. Like that one, if it's in the hard drive data, it should be, it's not that expensive, and if it's in the if it's in RAM, then it's like ridiculously expensive. So, and then they're working on sort of the ground layer for HiveMind and communities, and there are some kind of like tweaks that are going into HF20 to make that happen.
Yeah, this is the one I'm really interested in.
Communities?
Yeah, communities.
Yeah.
So what is that all about?
So, Velocity is not like a user-facing thing, right? Velocity is a behind-the scenes thing that is all about scaling the blockchain, and that it's not sexy. It's not like your view is going to change. It's not like all of a sudden that to the average user this is going to look all that different. But on the back end, all the servers, they're going to reduce in size. It's going to make it really easy to create new accounts, and it's going to be a lot less expensive to create new accounts, and that's going to make us be able to grow, and we can really start taking off, and it's not going to break the current infrastructure. So like Velocity is like the least sexy hard fork that we could do, but it's one of the most important just for being able to do this thing the right way. But something like communities is it has some like neat aspects of how the blockchain is going to be different, meaning that there's things like oracles, and you can query the oracle about trying to verify individual people and characteristics about them. So there's going to be sort of back-end changes that happen, but communities is also going to make a very different user experience for how your average Steamian is going to interact on the blockchain. So one of the, I think the Minnow Support project is actually sort of like, I don't know how many community accounts are out there. We are a community account, and for us to be a community account, we had to build a ton of different software to allow for a team of 16 people to go all interact on the same account. And that was expensive, and it's tricky, and it requires management and separate servers, and there's a lot of work that we had to do to be able to do that. And your average Steamian can't just be like, oh, I want to start up a church organization. Let's go have a team of people and go run this thing. Because if you do it that way, like, you have to go program all this shit, and it's a pain in the butt. And what Communities is going to do is make it so that instead of just individual bloggers having their own little like mini publishing business that is really just themselves publishing their own interests, now we can start having organizations. So companies, churches, maybe even town governments and things like that could all run off of a community account, and they wouldn't have to build all this like crazy crap to make that happen. And then I think they're even going to put in some aspects of like maybe making your own unique tokens that only your community members can have access to. I don't know if that's going to go into I don't know if that's going to be part of HiveMind and communities or closer to SMTs, but I think it's possible that you could get sort of like token issuance that's going to be part of communities. Maybe not the full smart media token, because that really is above and beyond, but creating a BitShares like token, something that's a lot simpler, might actually come as soon as communities or HiveMind.
Okay. I'm just wondering what the exact example is. Like, say we had a Minnow support community, what would we be able to do with that on the blockchain?
Well, let's see. So, I hadn't read up extensively on communities, but I think part of the idea is that you can have sort of moderated channels, so that you could choose who gets to post into that community. You could take posts down. The post would still be on the blockchain, so people could still access this thing through Agrode if I wrote it. But if like I wanted to go post to Minnow support, and all the other moderators that had some say over that was like, wow, Agrode got high and then wrote some nonsense and put it on our community wall, you could actually hide that from the stream. You could like you get to have a lot more say over what your interface looks like. And so now it looks more like sort of Reddit subchannels, but with the benefit of it is. I think part of the challenge here is that we don't want censorship, but we want curation. And curation inherently means some level of censorship. That, my wall, I'm not going to talk about, I don't know. I have no knitting projects on my wall. So I personally censor those out. That doesn't go on my wall, because that's not the thing that I'm like super interested in. Now, I want to be able to curate my wall, and I want to be able to have it talk about the things that are important to me, but for like a community, I want the ability to both have the story be on the blockchain, but also block it from being in the wall and the feed. And so communities is about creating rules and guidelines so that there is an immutable history of the article that you wrote that is stored on the blockchain, and anybody could access that, but they might not be able to access that through a community account because you have intentionally hid it, so that you can have both your so that you can have the combination of no censorship because it's on the blockchain, but we're curating it so we're not showing it on this one special wall. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
So
All right, that's cool.
That's the
I know-
balance.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were excited about the community aspect.
Yeah, communities I think is like there's only so much that we can do as individual bloggers, right? Like, as long as there's not shared keys and as long as there's not like more than one person on an account, like there's only so much that we can do. And I think that making it so that you can get teams of people working on a project is going to be beneficial. And then having that happen just through the standard interface that everybody uses, rather than what the Minna Support Project had to do of making our own tools to do that, is a lot more convenient for all of the users. So hopefully we start onboarding a lot more people, and as we onboard a lot more people, we could start onboarding organizations, and those organizations are no longer going to be like a one-person shop. It could actually be like a 30-person organization, and that organization could say, all right, Azaria's director of content, like Steam Monsters is probably not such a bad example of this, of like, I might want lots of people being able to post, but then also being able to moderate what actually goes live on the wall. And so we could use a combination of like, anybody can theoretically post here, but then we can curate what's actually going to be seen on the website when you go to @SteamMonsters. And so like people could, I'm just repeating myself. I'm getting tired. I'm getting way sleepy.
All right. Well, I mean, we're coming up on the end of the show anyway, so you gave a good breakdown.
Well, I think I gotta go,
Of what's
Ron. I
coming
gotta
up
go
in the
for another
hardcore.
hour, right?
No.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, this whole group doesn't, but Ron has me on the schedule for one more hour. Yeah. Yeah. Can I play music during that, Ron? Can I switch this to a 90s rock show?
Oh, yes.
We could do SteamX. If he says we
People
can put on
love.
SteamX, I'm content with SteamX. Because I gotta, like, I got 2 hours of sleep last night. So I'm now, like, normally I'm old man tired. This is like accelerated old man tired.
I know. Well, I mean, we always had 1 hour for Minnow University and 1 hour for Peace Academy anyway, so.
Yeah.
And then there was an hour break before Clay came on.
And it's our anniversary.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah,
you guys
it's
should
our
go do anniversary things.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Ouch.
Wink.
Wow.
Wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Put out the trash and
Yeah.
start the
Yeah.
process of going to sleep.
Have you
All right.
have you heard the song Business Time?
I have not. Hey, Ron's here.
Hey Ron. Yeah, I think he's just waiting to hear the end of the show so he can switch it over. All right.
I see him. He's here.
We'll do another song.
All right, so here, this is that song. It's Flight of the Conchords. Do you guys know?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know them?
I know one.
So they have a song called Business Time, and it's basically about like married couples that are getting ready to have sex, and it's pretty hilarious. It's pretty hilarious.
That's funny.
All right, I think.
Yeah.
I think this has been a successful show. We talked about, we did a breakdown of the hard fork that might not make for sexy radio, but certainly feels like we helped some people understand what the heck is going on in some complicated language and tried to break it down into bite-sized pieces.
Yeah. I understand it better.
Okay, well that's all I could hope for. So I'm gonna go to bed because 2 hours of sleep is not enough.
Yeah. You go sleep.
You-
All right. So, thanks, everyone. Clay is coming up in 1 hour for Coffee and Philosophy.
You've been listening to msp-waves radio. Thanks for riding the waves. And this is Agro, currently Witness 11 on the Steam blockchain, signing off. Please go buy some Steam Monsters booster packs. Good night, guys.
Good night.